closing arguments have completed in the defamation case of CardiB against blogger TashaK and her company TV Studios. Today we have, again, welcome back Miss Britney Dobbins, where she's going to give us her legal analysis as to what she thought about the closing arguments. Good afternoon, Britney.
Hi, how are you doing today?
Good, good. So we heard the closing arguments delivered by the plaintiff, Lisa Moore for the plaintiff, and by Olga Ismailova for the defense. Let's go right into it. You heard the closing arguments. Each lasted an hour and 15 minutes. Give me your analysis on both sides and why. You can refer to your notes if you need to.
Thank you. So just to kind of give a visual for everybody, the court wasted no time today. They jumped right into the closing argument of plaintiff. And I'm kind of sum it up into image goals, which is sort of how they went through each particular point that they needed to make for the jury. Plaintiff's counsel first opened it up with a thank you to the jury, letting them know that plaintiff was very appreciative of the time that they were spending on the jury. Gave them a compliment saying that they were selected because they were the best individuals to decide the issues in the case, and letting them know that plaintiff's counsel and plaintiff were not unaware of the fact that this was a time-consuming process. After that, we sort of had the image goal of what the case is about. This is plaintiff's case, so it's plaintiff's burden to lay out for the jury specifically what it is that they will be discussing and what it is that they need to prove to win the case or have the jury there's something popping up on your screen. To have the jury rule in plaintiff's favor. So they went through each of the defamatory statements that they're moving on or that are actionable or that they believe are actionable in this case.
Hold on one second. Sure. For those people out there, if you can hear the sound of her voice, please give me a 1. If you're having difficulties hearing the sound of her voice, give us a 2. Let's go. Okay, very good. So they can hear you. So before you go on,
but I'll speak up.
Right. Just loud. But for some, explain why it's important for in the opening for them to the lawyers to make the connection with the jury.
Well, I'm going to keep going on the points before, and I will touch on that during that.
Okay.
But specifically, for those of you, to sum up the case, the defamatory claims that were the statements that are claimed to be defamatory are that CardiB engaged in prostitution, that she was a drug user, specifically that she used cocaine, that she had herpes and HPV, that she committed adultery, and that she did a debasing act with a beer bottle during when she was a stripper. So though they plaintiff's counsel went through each of those, stating, identifying the specific evidence during the case that came out that proved those to be false, or identified for the jury that defense did not provide any evidence that those were true. She then spent quite a bit of time trying to establish the element known as malice. Basically what that means in layman's terms is that she needed to show that TashaK acted either knowingly, meaning that she published those statements knowing at the time that they were false, or she acted with reckless disregard and didn't care if they were false at the time, or had serious doubts of the truth at the time. So they spent a lot of time going through a lot of videos that showed that TashaK didn't want to take the videos down, that she wasn't going to take the videos down unless CardiB paid her. That she wasn't sure.
We're going to let the ambulance go by because that could be annoying to some people because we're actually outside the courthouse. So they didn't provide us a media room, so the parking lot is our media room. Let's go.
That she wasn't sure if the truth or the falsity of the statement that CardiB had herpes, and several other things that would lead one to believe that she didn't care if the statements were false when she published them. The final piece that the plaintiff went through in their closing argument were the damages, specifically, again, touching on the fact that CardiB was suicidal, and that she was experiencing physical ramifications from the defamation, and that it was continuing on into the future today, and will continue to affect her life.
Can we talk about the way they presented the evidence in the opening, the strategic way they presented the evidence in the opening, how they showed video, they paused it to talk about it. I thought it was pretty masterful because they provided many exhibits. They gave the jury a great visual, and the way they were presenting it, how it was delivered.
I mean, I can't speak for the jury, but they did use several demonstratives. I believe there are about 6 of them that appeared to show a timeline of when the defamatory statements were made, when specific acts happened during the case. For example, when cease and desist letters were sent out and there was no action, when conversations were had with CardiB and there was no action. During that, the closing argument or the closing speech or discussion, they also played several videos that accompanied the statements and then put up on the projector screen type things that go in front of the jury, dissecting each statement that were in those videos so that the jury could kind of see. And it was very repetitive so that you can get the feel for what those statements were, and that so they sort of ring in the impression of the jury, what was done. I don't know specifically from the closing what was on the demonstratives because they did not actually go through them, but I did think that the video and the little blurbs of the specific statements from the video were very effective.
You used the term demonstrative. Can you explain what does that mean for the layman?
A demonstrative is literally an exhibit or a piece of cardboard that you put up with words on it or pictures on it that might be something you want to last in the mind of the jury. And so they had 6 different poster boards up with a timeline on it.
Okay, so the closing for Ms. Moore lasted an hour and 15 minutes, where they saved 17 minutes for their rebuttal. Let's talk about the rebuttal. Well, let's go into the defense, then we'll get to the rebuttal.
Right. So defense counsel, again, I'm going to go through kind of what their themes were. They too opened up their closing with thanking the jury for their time. They then went on to give the jury an explanation of the burden of proof and who that lies with. They explained to the jury that they only get one opportunity to speak to them and ask that the jury not hold that against them. That's the way that the law balances it out. So plaintiff's counsel would get to come back up after their closing and make what is called a rebuttal, which we'll explain a little bit later. She also told the jury or gave them a glimpse of what they would be told by the judge after the closing arguments were made, and that's that they would be asked to use their common sense, and they could weigh the evidence, including the testimony of each witness that they heard during the trial, the documents, the videos that they said, any way they want. They could choose to believe or not believe any witness that they want. They can choose the significance of different pieces of evidence. And so they spent a little bit of time on that, and then they too went into specifically what this case is about. And so they summed it up a little bit differently, which is not unexpected, and that is that this case surrounds the Star Marie Jones interview, where the statements were made, and they went through them one by one, and they made sure to preference that, you know, the issue here is whether no reasonable person could believe it was plaintiff in the beer bottle video, which is the video that supposedly depicted CardiB doing it. I believe they called it a act.
Debasing act.
Yeah, debasing act. They also stated that I got it. They also started talking about the herpes claims. They've made the point several times that during that video that vaginal herpes was never mentioned, that it was actually it's the same thing. It was never mentioned, and that they were referring to cold sores on CardiB's mouth. So they then showed several pictures of CardiB and Offset where they supposedly had cold sores. They then moved on to the comment about HPV. They said that there was only one clip where TashaK actually mentioned HPV, and showed the entire clip where at the end she states, "I can't confirm or deny that CardiB had HPV." They then moved on to the prostitution claim, which got a little bit interesting because it turned into a bit of a debate over what the word hoe means, and they showed several videos where CardiB referred to herself as a hoe. They referred to some testimony from TashaK where she said she refers to her friends as a hoe, and it's another word for bitch. So it got into a little bit of a debate over that. They then went into the drug use comments, and tried to create an imagery for the jury where they were saying that CardiB admitted to using several other drugs, and saying that it was a bit absurd for her to now claim that she's defamed because they're alleging that she didn't use specifically cocaine.
Well, hold on for a second. Some of the arguments by the defense, one of the things the defense brought up is the fact that Offset never came to testify, nor did Offset sue TashaK. And I thought that was an interesting presentation, as well as how it appeared that they were putting Cardi's music on trial by referencing that the things she was saying, she was actually omitting in her music. And I've seen this in a lot of cases involving rappers where they try to use the music as a tool to try to convict someone. Can you talk about how the jury may view the fact that Offset didn't sue her, and they spoke about that, but as well as why you think that him not being there is significant?
So I didn't get through all of them. That was going to come up, but one of the things that is the job of the defendant is to poke holes in the plaintiff's case and show where they could. It's their burden of proof, so it's important to show the jury where they could or may have been able to provide better evidence but didn't. So for each defamatory statement, the defense did attempt to point out where other evidence might have been beneficial, but it was not provided. For example, in the adultery claim, Offset didn't come and testify in the case. In the terms of whether or not CardiB has cold sores and herpes, again, they said that her husband didn't come and testify. In the term of prostitution, they said that several of her friends that worked with her back then didn't come and testify, and so it was just really an effort to point out that there could be better evidence and accept it, but they didn't provide it. It was just CardiB's testimony.
Okay, so I'm gonna delve more into that when I do my recap, but I want to also speak about the judge's charges to the jury. Then we go into the verdict.
So there were, there's some other things I wanted to point out really quick about. We need to go over the rebuttal.
Okay.
Because although I'm pointing out the fact that defendant poked some holes or tried to poke some holes, plaintiff's counsel did get an opportunity to come back up and address each of those with evidence that came out in the case, as well as address some of the statements made by counsel. So she did come back up and say that, she put up some posts, for example, with the herpes comments, and said that if TashaK was not discussing vaginal herpes, then why in some of her tweets did she say, make comments about CardiB possibly having vaginal herpes? So kind of contradicting and pointing out that the defense was not necessarily being forthcoming with some of the evidence that they were presenting and saying was not actionable.
Let me just jump in there real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when the rebuttal came about, I noticed how the Lisa Moore, when she was talking about the inconsistencies or misstatement of fact, she looked directly at the defense's table, and I thought that was powerful because when she was talking about CardiB, she looked at CardiB when she was explaining certain things. Then when she was talking about the defense, she looked at them, and I saw that connection that she was trying to make, and I guess what she was trying to project to the jury. Is when you are doing cases like this, do you use those type of tactics?
No, I actually thought that was interesting. We have a saying in law: if the law is not on your side, argue the facts. If the facts are not on your side, argue the law. If neither of them are on your side, attack counsel. So from my personal legal perspective, I felt like it was a bit of an attack on counsel, which could have, several different meanings or reasons. She could also just be using it strategically to try to make an impact for the jury. She tried to insinuate that counsel was not being honest about some of the testimony and that they were just making things up, and i.e. that they were no better than their client. So she definitely was trying to make an impact, and the verdict will show whether that was successful or not.
Well, what I think also made an impact to the jury was there was 2 instances where the judge had to remind attorney Olga that she could not inject her own opinions when she's providing a closing.
Yeah, so during the closing, when we were discussing the Debasest Act with a beer bottle in that video, when defense counsel was trying to poke holes in plaintiff's case, she said that plaintiff's counsel was resting on the fact that it was very clear and that nobody could mistake CardiB for the individual in that video. She made a couple of points, and one was that if that was the case, why didn't they play the whole video during their case in chief? Why did they wait for defense to play it? And then 2, kind of pointing out that to her, as the attorney, that the individual in the video looked a lot like CardiB, where the court paused, told the jury to disregard the statement and to strike it from the record because it is improper, and it is, for an attorney to insert themselves into the case by stating their individual beliefs. He then had to do it later on in her closing on another instance. I don't remember the exact instance that it was, but she did get admonished twice for inserting her own opinions into her.
I talked earlier about the playing of the pornographic video and the fact that the defense offered it into evidence. Do you think that they should perhaps stipulate that? And perhaps the reason why the plaintiff didn't want to enter into evidence is because of, one, they kind of, proved it when they were showing Cardi's tattoos, and then they were showing the girl had no tattoos. And for me, I thought it was more, I think it was more inflammatory for the jury to, whoever would into evidence, the jury might look at it a little differently.
No, I don't think that there was any reason why they needed to play the video or not. I think that it goes to the weight of the evidence. Basically what that means is it's up to the jury to decide whether they believe it or not. I think the defense counsel did point out some good things regarding the timeline of that video, and that there was no testimony of when CardiB got her tattoos, and if when that video was made that she would have had those tattoos. That was actually very good testimony that was not addressed by plaintiff when they went back up and did their rebuttal. But again, it's the weight of the evidence. It's for the jury to decide who they believe and who they don't. And so more of what's I think important is the arguments towards credibility. When lies were told, because that will influence the jury's decision on who they want to believe and who they don't.
Well, let's talk about possibly why the plaintiff wasn't able to address that. They have a clock, a stopwatch in the courtroom, and each side gets a certain amount of time. Lisa Moore had 17 minutes to do her rebuttal, and I think the judge gave her probably a minute and a half over, and I don't know if that would have been enough time to get that point in, but I thought that maybe the judge could have threw her a bone. I don't think it would have had, I know the judge has rules, but give her 2 more minutes to make a closing, because there was a lot of evidence there. And I guess that's a subjective decision the judge made.
Yeah, I mean, typically you do have a time limit, and the court generally sticks to it for, to balance out. Defense does not get a rebuttal. So if you give them quote unquote a bone, it could be deemed improper, it could be grounds for reversal, and no judge wants to be reversed. So they do stick to the time limits that are given, and they do try to be very fair. To point out, we as attorneys know we have time limits, so you have to be strategic in what you choose to address. And she did not choose to address that, probably because in her mind there were more important aspects of the case to address during that time period, and she just didn't get to it.
2 other things that I heard that I thought was kind of interesting, and this goes to the medical records and the expert witness. The defense tried to insinuate that the medical records that CardiB had were, I guess, false or fake, because she said because her name wasn't on it. But the plaintiff pointed out that she's a celebrity and her name, typically they use aliases, because most celebrities do that. Is that correct?
Yes, so that goes to the herpes and HPV defamatory statement. Plaintiffs produced or introduced into evidence some doctors' reports that show that CardiB does not have herpes or HPV. Defense then got up and tried to point out the problems or the fallacies or why that evidence is not conclusive on that issue. And one of those reasons was because her name is not on those tests. To which in the rebuttal, plaintiff tried to sanitize that or make it so that it's not that significant by saying that all artists use aliases and that's what is on that report.
During pre-trial and during evidentiary hearings, wouldn't it have been vetted, the medical records? Would they just offer that up? Well, this is our medical results. Wouldn't that have been examined prior to coming to the full trial through pre-trial motions?
Not necessarily, and that's very hard to speak on actually, because one of the weak points of defense's case is that they didn't have an expert of their own to discuss the medical records that were provided or to rebut the testimony of CardiB psychologists. So it's an unknown right now.
Right, and so the plaintiffs, at least more pointed out that one, the lawyers are not doctors. Why didn't they bring the expert witness in? I thought that was powerful. Mm-hmm. Why are you guys coming over here telling the jury that they should look at these records to probably be fake or not, untrue, when they didn't even bring their own expert witnesses in? I thought that was pretty bizarre to even question that when the evidence wouldn't have came in if it, in my opinion, it wouldn't have came in if it wasn't something that could have been challenge.
Well, that's not true. It wouldn't necessarily not come in. So that's not.
Oh, you disagree
100.
With me?
Yeah, that's not 100% accurate. However, again, for the strength of the evidence, and I think again, kind of what plaintiff's counsel did was attack the credibility of defense counsel when it came to that, because that tends to be a little bit more important. Who are you going to believe? A doctor's report that we provided you, or defense counsel's testimony, which is not evidence that. And they did not provide you with evidence that you could take back to the jury because there was no expert testimony. That's really kind of what she's trying to point out. You have the ability as the jury to decide who you want to believe and who is more credible. And is it going to be a doctor who might have used an alias on a test result for her privacy, or is it defense counsel?
Right. Okay. So do you see any major misses? Well, I won't say that. Who do you think, based on the totality of the closings as well as the evidence, made their case?
I think they both made their case, to be honest with you. It's a question of, who is the jury going to believe as they're going through the elements of the case to see if they're satisfied or not. They both did their job as attorneys. Plaintiff's counsel pointed out that they believe that they have proven all of the statements that they are alleging are defamatory or false conclusively, and or no evidence was presented to contradict the fact that it's false. So they did their job. They showed that TashaK didn't care if those statements came down, that she was going to gain as much financial profit as she could from these statements, and that she did it to annoy CardiB, and that they had this tit for tat going on that may be enough evidence for the jury to prove that she was acting in bad faith or with malice. And then they proved the damages. Then defense came up and they tried to point out specifically what was wrong with that, and they did a very good job of doing that. Some of those points might resonate with some of the jurors and could lead them to decide in TashaK's favor. So they both did a good job of doing what they needed to do as attorneys for each case.
Well, I heard something that I thought was interesting with what Lisa Moore said, and how she showed that the husband, it was equally complicit in the things that was going on towards Cardi. What I thought was interesting that she said, well, the wife said, is accusing the husband is accusing the wife. How powerful was that? When the wife is accusing the husband and the husband is accusing the wife on the stand through deposition and direct testimony and cross examination, I think that would hold a lot of power. Two couples married and they questioning. I don't know what the strategy was that. What that was all about. That didn't make any sense. And we're going back to the testimony and how they obviously one may have purchased the other on the stand?
Honestly, I don't think that that's going to have the effect that it was intended for. That testimony is for liability purposes, and one of the things that the jury has to decide is whether the company and TashaK are jointly and severally liable for the damage, or if it can be separated out and you can't get to her personal assets. I'm not sure that testimony is going to get the jury where they need to go, but that was the point of showing that both TashaK and her husband are claiming that they don't have responsibility for this business, and claiming that they don't know each other's roles in this business when they are the only ones who are responsible for it. And that comes into play when you're dealing with a concept called alter ego, and whether liability can be applied to a company. So it's complicated, and I don't think that it necessarily hit home for the jury.
Okay, so guys, we're going to take a 30-second break. 30-second break. So I want you guys to go grab some popcorn, and we'll be right back. 30 seconds. Get in the spot. And we're back. So I hope you guys did what you had to do, bathroom breaks, whatever you had to do. So we want to talk about now the charging and verdict form. Mm-hmm. Let's go into the charging of the jury, because I heard some interesting things coming out of there, and I saw you were taking copious notes. Can you talk about the charging of the jury?
So before the jury goes back to deliberate, the court will read several instructions to the jury that tell them the law, basically, and what they need to decide or keep in mind when they're deliberating, as well as give them some guidance on what they're going to see on the verdict form, and if they come out one way or the other, what they should check off. If they also let the jury know if they have any questions, to not hesitate to ask, that they will have access to all of the evidence in the case while they're deliberating. And it's a very lengthy process. It's very, for the layman, it's very dry, because it is all of the law. It lets each element of the case is laid out. It lets the jury know what they need to prove and by what amount of evidence they need, either a preponderance or by clear and convincing evidence. It lets them know the definitions for terms like malice and what that means and what they need to consider. It lets them know what might be actionable or not actionable. In this particular case, there's a claim for intentional infliction of emotional distress, and it was pointed out by defendant and then again pointed out by the judge that comments that are made to the general public are not actionable. So that's something that the court should consider when determining if the statements in this case are appropriate to uphold a claim for intentional infliction of emotional distress.
Well, I don't have a Black's dictionary in front of me, but can you explain briefly what does preponderance of evidence mean, and how should the jury look at this? Because this is preponderance of evidence. It sounds something people hear every day. Can you explain that?
Preponderance of the evidence is more likely than not that something is true or not true. And clear and convincing, that's a harder one to explain, but it's usually the way we explain it to a jury, is that it's a higher burden than more likely true than not, and so that's kind of the basis. If it's not more likely true than not, then it's not going to rise to the level of clear and convincing.
I heard malice spoke about a lot. Can we talk about what malice means and how it would affect this particular outcome?
This is where defamation gets complicated. There are two different standards of malice in this particular case that the jury needs to consider. The first one is in the defamation action and false light action, and that is basically, I explained it briefly before, it's knowingly saying something that is false or having a reckless disregard for the truth or the false. That's how malice is defined in a defamation case. Then there's malice for what are called punitive damages. That's money awarded to punish the defendant for their actions. And when that's done, you have to decide if they're, the person was acting wantonly or fraudulently or other aspects that are specifically laid out for the jury.
Okay, so the verdict form is basically affirmative or you know, I think the term was not guilty or not guilty, but what was the term used?
So in civil cases, it's liable or not liable, and they have to check off a box according to the judge. I did not get to see the specific verdict form in this case, but according to the judge, for each claim they need to check liable or not liable, and then they'll go through and determine if damages are appropriate or not appropriate, and then if they make that determination, they'll come back and there'll be another portion of the trial held to determine the amount of those damages.
So to be clear, if the jury says not guilty, then everyone goes home. If the jury says guilty, then there's another phase. And how long does the second phase of this usually last?
Yeah, I mean, I would get away from guilty because it's not guilty; it is liable or
Well,
not
that-
liable.
okay,
yeah,
that's
financially liable or
Okay.
not financially liable for the damages that they caused. And then what was the question?
The question was, after they rule liable or not liable, then, you know, depending upon if it's not liable, then people go home. If it's liable, then it's another phase in this process. How long is that process? Because that's when you get into the damages. How long typically is a process like that? It's not going to be drawn out like the closing, will it? Or sometimes it will be longer.
It's a whole nother trial, so it could be 3 to 5 days. Usually, it's a little bit shorter than the liability phase of a trial. But basically, you have to prove attorney's fees. If those are going to be awarded, you have to prove the exact amount of damages, and there's some other issues that will come up regarding whether those can be ascertained with certainty or not. So it's a whole nother trial.
Well, guys, it's a lot to unpack. It's from the trial, even to the closing, and to the. This is a, you know, I call this the pins and needle phase, where it's the verdict watch. The verdict watch, you know, this is something that. This is sums everything up. This is where the jury actually has to come in and say, okay, well, after hearing everything, we either believe the plaintiff or disbelieve the defendant, and they, you know, had to render a verdict. And I don't know. You know, these juries might say, hey, we heard enough. We're going to knock this out today, or they may come back tomorrow. And the other thing that the judge mentioned while he was on the bench was that if they have questions, they can send a note to the judge. That's something typical. It's typical in these type of cases. Can you remember a case that you've had that lasted longer than a day? A case that you had as an attorney?
My most recent case was literally very similar to this case. It was defamation per se. Basically, that means that the statements that are alleged to be defamatory allege either a crime or an unmoral act or things of that nature. And it was a 3 to 5 day trial, and questions came back from the jury. So no, I mean, I've never had a day that I know of.
Right. Yeah. You know, I cover a lot of criminal cases, and usually they last a couple of days. You know, this case, you know, this is a lot different. It's one of the cases that I would say that it will be studied for a while, especially with new age media and digital media. I think it's a case that people are going to look at, especially all the YouTubers that are out there. And I don't know. I think that you as an attorney, how do you view a case like this as it relates to how YouTubers will react in the way they do business?
I don't think that this case doesn't have any legal changing significance. It's not going to change the law on defamation. So those laws have been in place for quite some time. If anything, it might have some shock value, bring attention to bloggers that they're not immune to the same requirements as journalists or people who work for big conglomerates like TMZ or CNN. I think maybe it might have that effect.
Hey, Harvey.
But other than that, I don't think it's not gonna change or add some new precedent.
Well, I think that even for this particular case, it has exposed a lot about the way TashaK and KiBi Studios do business with the missions on the witness stand. It speaks a lot, and I think at the end, people, if they question, the reporting, the transcripts will support or disprove. But I thank you, Ms. Dobbins, for coming out.
Yeah, thank you.
And once again, we're on Verdict Watch. And I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere. I think you're gonna be here with me too for the birthday, right?
That's right.
Okay, by the way, guys, hit the like button. I know a lot of you out there. Hit the like button, please. And I want you to follow Miss Britney Dobbins, and all her socials will be on the description box once we're finished. But you want to tell them again for those new people that come in?
Yeah, so anyone that didn't tune in last time, my IG is at bdobbins, DOBBINS.ESQ for Esquire. And I will see you guys next time.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So guys, I didn't get nobody jumping in my video, and I appreciate that. Shout outs to those who are not jumping in my video. But I had said earlier, I think that this case is very important. We should do something. You know, I should do something, and those who are concerned about cyberbullying, to do something to bring more attention to that. And I suggested with one of my colleagues a 3-round boxing match so we can give it to charity and to probably bring more awareness to what's happening on the internet. Have yet to get a response, and maybe I'll find another opponent, who knows. But I'm in it for the long haul. Guys, if you like this video, please share it. Share it by sharing the link, not grabbing the footage, because she's a lawyer and this is her expertise. So, hey, you know, we want to all get along here. We all want to get along. You can look at the video, you can discuss what's in the video, and there's some great people out there that I saw look at the video, did a good discussion on the video, but actually not having taken the video. So I just want to point out those few things and let you know that we are doing our best to bring you gavel-to-gavel coverage of a case that I think is really important, especially for bloggers and celebrities. Because the ones who didn't come to court and sue when they felt they were defamed, Cardi's, you know, she's stepping up to the plate, you know. I'm Dennis Byron, reporting live outside the federal courthouse in Atlanta. Thank you. Bye, Ma. All right, guys, I gotta get you out here off this tripod. Ooh. Oh, okay. Wait a minute. Hold on. We're not leaving yet. We are not leaving yet. We have a problem here, guys. We have a problem. I have 2,770 people watching. I only have 862. Can some of the people on that other side just hit the like button? If you enjoy the content, hit the like button. Just hit the like button. Let's get it up to 1,000. You guys are watching. We're working hard. All you got to do is take that finger, move it over to the right, hit the like button, or hit it on the top or the bottom. I don't know what you know, if you have a phone or if you have a tablet or you have a desktop. But hit the like button because we're working hard. Thank you. Come on, bring it up a little more. Bring it up a little more. We have 2,500 people watching, and we're not hitting the like. The likes are important. You see, I'm not asking for cash apps or super chats. Hit the like, but the cash apps and super chats are welcomed. But right now, hit the like because you guys are out here watching it. And Britney came out from a long distance down yonder to come here to provide her legal analysis. And you know, I came out and I put one of my favorite ties on for you guys. So just hit the like. Sharing is caring. Supporting is important. And I appreciate you guys. Again, I'm Dennis Byron. We are out of here. Peace.
They did show her age when she had the tattoo.
Okay, guys. You know what? I'm not going to leave just yet. I see some questions here. I'm going to read some of the questions. I'm not going to leave just yet. You guys going to go get lunch? It's closed? So order Uber Eats or order something. Just order something over here. Are you hungry? Come on now. I heard your stomach growling. All right, guys. I'm going to read some of the questions real quick. Okay. I'm seeing a lot of hills in this building. Yeah, okay. Yes. Okay. Let me have a real question from you guys. Come on, brother. Come on. Come on. Come on. It's freezing out here. Okay. Okay. Smash the button. Smash the button. We was at 3,000. Oh my goodness, that was good. 3,000. Okay, just trying to see a question that stands out here because maybe you can answer the question. Hold on. We at 2,300. I appreciate that, guys. I'm sorry, I threw you off. I don't know how, but we'll talk about that later. The verdict is not out yet. The jury is in deliberation. Well, they're going to be in deliberation after lunch because obviously they got to eat in order for them to be able to do their job. There's a lot of questions in here. I see a lot of statements, but I'm trying to see if there's a question that I can answer. Hey, listen. He said, I'm stepping out the camera like I'm not a 1-minute show. Think about the people who didn't even show up. Just think about that for a second. I'm stepping out the camera like I'm not a 1-minute show. 1-minute show. But think about the people who didn't show up. How about that? At least I showed up. How about that? Come on, guys. Come on. Stop it. Stop it. No, listen. Let me clear that up. There's no beef with me and Choke. There's no beef with me and Choke. We're doing something, a charity thing. This is love. This is love. Listen, he grew up in the South Bronx. I grew up in the South Bronx. And I thought it was just admirable that two Bronxites get together, do something for charity. This is no beef. Don't make beef. Listen, don't make something that's not beef. This is for the charity. This is for the love. This is for the culture. And this is for showing you young people out there that you don't have to pick up a gun or a knife. You can sell it in the ring. That's all this is about. But if you were raised in a certain way, you might not understand that. But I was raised where we don't have to pull weapons out on each other. We can get in the gym, get on the mat and work it out. So it's not no hate for my brother Choke. You know, like when you have disputes with someone and they're equal, like almost your equal, then sell it the way it's best. You know, and do it for a cause, not just because. That's what I'm saying. Now do you get it? There is no beef for the record. So don't put the beef out. There's no beef. It's no beef. Him and I dapped it up in court today. It's good. But I just suggested he's someone I know, somebody that I think that cares about the outcome of the case. I mean, come on. Who else would jump in your video if they didn't want to show that they cared about the outcome of the case? Anyway, you get my point. Let me scroll down and look at some questions. I don't know if I caught any. It's so many questions out here. Someone asked, did perjury charges come up? I think Britney addressed that. Britney, didn't you address that? No perjury charges came up. I'm filming with a flip phone, guys. I'm filming with a flip phone. We actually have. Let me take you over here, guys. I'm gonna take you over here, and I'm gonna show you something. See, I didn't want to do this, but we have another big camera over here that we're recording at. Oh, you see Bertha in the background? See Bertha? Oh, we have cameras out here. Don't play. Stop it. But we want a different version. We want that 4K quality. We got the 4K quality with the power mic. How about that? Come on. No, I don't. Stop. I don't want to. Listen, this is for fun. This is fun. That's a good brother. Come on. Come on. I bet you most of you have never been in a fight. A lot of you have never really been in a fight. And then hug the person afterwards. You can fight and hug afterwards. Don't take it to extreme. But this is love. It's not like I want to fight him. Like, no, this is love. It's a 3 rounds. I'm an old guy, so I may not be able to hang in there that long. Come on, let's just be nice. No, I tend to entertain some of the comments because I know people, I might call the name out just to, show you some love. But I do that so people know that I don't have a problem with engaging. This is someone asked me what phone this is. This is actually what phone is this? Britt, what phone is this? This is a Samsung, but what's the model here? The latest model. It's the latest. I went in the store. I said, give me an iPhone, and give me a Android. And I want the top of the line both. So they kind of messed up. Yeah, that's the S21. That's the phone I got here, the S21. Man, I got S21, and I ordered the iPhone. They didn't have the Max, but I have the 13. But I wanted the Max because the Max, gives you a bigger screen. It feels like you're almost holding a laptop. No, I got an iPhone too. Don't play. I got an iPhone and an Android. I want balance. I love balance in my life, so I have both of them. And if I check my garage, I might have a flip phone. I might have one of those big old school phones. I mean, when I say old school, they're the one that you had to have the strap on your shoulder. It was a big pack. So I go back. I'll go back to rotary phones. What you guys know about rotary phones? What you know about rotary? What is a rotary phone? Not the push button, but the dial. When you dial, you put your finger in the hole and you got to turn it. Shh, shh, shh. That's how far I go back. How about that? Let's see. Some cool comments coming in. I appreciate them. I do appreciate it. But remember, keep liking the video. And we're going to put another version up later, guys. And shout out to infamous Sylvia. She was my camera woman, working the big camera. So it's not a one-man show. You just don't see it. Everybody don't need to be. Listen, everyone don't need to be in the video. Only those who need to be in the video are in the video. And those behind the scenes are behind the scenes. That's why they call it behind the scenes. Now, I think, sometimes people like to insert themselves in situations and kind of took it to the next level, inserted himself in the situation. But we good. You think Tasha will win? I don't know. I don't know. I think that the jury heard a lot of stuff. They heard a lot. And this is the time for them to speak. What I did notice that Britney didn't talk about was the demeanor of the jury. And what I noticed was it was a lot of times when the defense was doing their closing, the jury wasn't taking notes. But what I also noticed, there was some parts where when they were talking about Offset or some other areas of closing, they were taking notes. But for the most part, they weren't taking notes. But when Lisa Moore was giving her closing arguments, they were taking notes. They were writing down. There were even a reaction from one of the jurors. I don't know if it's the one who grabbed her chest, but there was definitely a reaction. Then I noticed one juror wasn't writing at all. And I didn't know how to read that. She wasn't writing at all. She was just looking. And I thought the brother was dozing off. I don't know. Maybe, You know, he has, is closing his eyes a little bit. But hey, they're going back there. They got to pick a jury form. They got to pick a jury foreman, and then they're going to deliberations. I had to stay at the court, even though it's not in session, because when the verdict comes out, you guys want me to bring the verdict, right? You do want that, right? You want to know when I know, right? Oh, you want me to go home? Should I leave now and wait for someone else to tell you, or should I wait for someone else? So you tell me leave? Yes, you want me to leave. You guys want me to leave, or you want me to stay for the verdict? I don't know what you want me to do. You got to tell me. Should I leave or should I stay? If I stay, I need for those who are watching to like the freaking video. You got 2,500 here, 2,500 watching, but only 1,500 liking. I don't want to think it's just the winos over here not liking. Wait a minute. Let me think about that. Is there 1,000 winos that are watching and not liking? Is that what it is? I'm just curious. I'm a conspiracy theorist. So if you're gonna watch a video, like it. That's all. Just a form of appreciation. Yeah, see, I see the wino. See, I set you up. I said something and you fell in the trap. You showed your hand. You gotta listen. That was a setup. You fell for the trap. The winos fell for the trap. Anyway, appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm not getting any questions right now. So perhaps, okay, I'm gonna stay, guys. I'm getting a resounding stay, so I'm staying. Okay, all right, here we go. I don't understand the Hill thing, but I appreciate it. I do appreciate it. Yo, listen, I'll tell you what. If you want me to leave right now and go back in the courthouse, then get the likes up to 2,000. We got 1744. Those are watching who didn't like the video, go to the and go and like it. Then I can leave. I can leave. I'm gonna stay in the court, but I'm gonna leave this live. But I'm trying to get you guys to just kind of support me here. I got 1759. 1765. Can I get 1800? Can I get 1800? I got 1770. Can I get 1800? 1800. I got 1770. Come on. I got 1778. Let's go. Come on. 1778. I need 1800. 1800. Come on. How hard is that? I got 1784. I got 1794. Can I get 1900? 1900. Can I get 1900? I got 1799. I want 1900. If I got 2400 here, I want at least 1900. I got 1807. 1807 is good, but it's not what I asked for. I got 1816. 1816. Can I get it up, but just a little bit? I want to get it up, like up. Let's get to 19. Come on. We can do this. Let's all do this together. All do this together. I'ma like it. I tell you what, here's the deal. I'm gonna like it when you get me down to 2,000 or 1,999. Then I'll like it and have my 2,000. How about that? Okay, guys, it's 1852. We're doing, like, oh my goodness, we are doing it right now. 1856. Can I get a little more? A little more. Yes. Give me the likes. Give me the likes. I didn't say hit the Cash App. I didn't say hit the Super Chat, but give me the likes. All right, we're doing good. We almost there. We're 124 short. Now we're 1880. 120. Let's go. 120. We got 2,300. I need 120. Just 120. 1882, 1880, 1889. Oh, we about to hit. Oh my goodness. We are at. Wait a minute. How did a like disappear? Oh, okay, we're at 1900. Okay, well, should I sell for 1900? I mean, I don't really like to take shorts, but it looks like I'm taking short today. Because my colleague hasn't eaten yet, and we might have to order some food. My colleague hasn't eaten yet, so we might have to order some food. Now, we're not going to starve her. And, okay, yeah, let's go. Oh, my goodness, 1919. You know, that was a good year. I wasn't around, but I heard it was a good year. Okay, we had 1922. Can I get the, come on. Right now, we're at 1922. 175. Actually, no, 75. What am I talking about? 75. That's all, 75. What am I talking about? 75. That's all we need, 75. There's a lot of hills in here. I'm going to get us some food. She's going to get something real nice. We might go to, we can't go to the fish market because that's too far from the court. Let's see, the fish market or McDonald's. No, I don't eat McDonald's. All right, we're almost there. Hey, Britt, we got 1947, Britt. 1947. That's pretty good. That's love. That is love. That's love. That means you're not hating on the video. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. We got 50 more. We out of here. 50 more. You don't have to see my face until next time. 50 more. We got to have a little fun here, guys. Come on. We're going to have to sit in this courtroom and wait for the jury to make a decision. And it's like, wow, what are they going to decide? Do we want to talk about the demeanor of everybody? Do we want to do that? We'll talk about that later tonight. All right, guys. I'm 27 short of leaving here. 27 short. I'm 27 short. I need 27 more likes. I need 25 more likes. I need 24 more likes. I need 23 more likes. Oh my goodness, we are doing it. That's that motivation. You're motivated, guys. Are you motivated? Are you motivated? Because I'm out. I'm out. I'm literally out here. We out. We over the limit. We are over the limit. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you tuning in. Please share if you care. We'll be back. The next time we'll be back is probably going to be with a verdict. I'm not even coming back if it's not a verdict. And before I leave, I'm going to shout out Phoenix Black. Oh, okay. See, I didn't know that. I did not know that. I didn't know the Hills for CardiB song. That's beautiful. I didn't know that. That's love. All right, guys. I appreciate you. I really do. And we out of here. If I could end this live. See, one thing about these Androids, they make things so complicated. Let me just hit the X. We out.